Built just 90 minutes away from the Motor City, Michigan International Speedway has always been known for its intense racing and speeds. This 2-mile D-shaped oval has seen David Pearson find his way to the winner's circle, a track record 9 times in his career. Tonight, though, the top drivers in the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series will be looking to add themselves to that winner's list. Who will do so tonight? We're about to find out here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's coverage of the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series, live from the virtual Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside the booth tonight is Chris Bobie. Behind the scenes is our director, Joe Peak, and he's using cameras for the great Dougie Beer. Now, Chris, this is a, little-known fact that this is one of the 3 major NASCAR facilities still operating today that were designed by the late Charles Moneypenny. The legendary track career also had a significant role in the creations of the Daytona International Speedway and Talladega Superspeedway. One of the common themes among those tracks when you think about it is speed. However, with Michigan, it's done a lot more differently. What can you tell us about this fast racetrack tonight?
Well, this track is 2 miles in length with 18 degrees of banking in the corners. As you mentioned, it is a D-shaped tri-oval, so you got the rounded front straightaway. This is going to be a track where you see momentum playing a huge role. You'll see a variety of different interpretations on what the quick way around the track will be. Cars will be sometimes 3, 4, and 5 wide around the wide surface of this track. And looking forward to a great 60-lap event coming up this evening. And as we get familiarized with this track, we'll throw things down to our virtual guide.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel. I'm Brian Yazek, taking you for a spin around the Michigan International Speedway in the GSRC Chevrolet SS Cup car. Michigan is a very, very fun track for drivers, fans alike. My home track, so I might have a little bit of an allegiance there. Across the start-finish line, getting your hot lap started, up here by the wall, letting it wind up, kind of like how you qualify at a plate track. Off into turn 1, you're going to use the brakes just a little bit to let it set. Back into gas about halfway, 3/4, back on full throttle. Don't hit that seam down there. Across, a little squirrely out of the corner, aiming for that crossover gate. Got to really maximize the way that this car runs off the corners. Off into turn 3, right about where the start-finish line, or not the start-finish line, where the safer barrier starts, right there in turn 3. Let it go into the throttle, float it way out here, and then you're going to see guys throughout the race and for their hot lap bring it right down here onto the track's apron. Really kind of let you get a good run, head of steam heading off into turn 1 again, off into the corner, using that safer barrier as your braking mark. You're not using a whole ton of brake. You're really just using enough to let the nose set on the car. So that way you get a good bite through the middle and be able to get a good run off, because that's where you're going to be able to make up a whole lot of time here. Down into turn 3 for the final time today, letting it float to the bottom here, and this is just going to get exponentially harder as the tires and the track wear out. Out of turn 4, letting it float up there, back down here to the apron, and across the line. And that is going to complete our track guide around the Michigan International Speedway in the GSRC Chevrolet SS. My name is Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
That was your Global SimRacing Channel lap guide here for the beautiful Michigan International Speedway in the Irish Hills of Michigan. Now, as we head forward here on the season, this is round 6 of the regular season, and the point standings have a different story, to say the very least. Jalen Battle enters tonight with that points lead with 208 total on the season. Colton Lane enters second in the standings, just 16 back, with Lee Banks, Rachel Hunt, and Stefan O'Hare rounding out the top 5 so far. But as you can also see, drivers like Kruska have been in the conversation throughout the season. Fody is also in the conversation after his strong run at Kansas last round. There's a lot of drivers that are looking to put themselves into the championship conversation at the midway point of this regular season, Chris.
Definitely. This has always been a hotly contested series, and we have a lot of drivers that are added on in the second season that we're broadcasting. We're 6 races in, to the 10-race regular season, they do have a playoff format as well. So a lot of drivers trying to get locked into the top 10 here in the early running, or as we enter into the second half of the regular season, I should say. We are getting drivers locked and loaded, and people are preparing for the long haul.
For those keeping track at home, 10 races in the regular season, 16 total on the season. Let's take a look at the race details here for the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series. As you can see, 75% restricted fuel, but essentially fixed setups. But there are also crucial bonus points that, as this race progresses, will be a potential talking point with a lot of the potential battles, Chris.
That's right. The top 10 in points will, at the halfway point, will get points awarded to them. It's using the word points a lot in that sentence. We'll award points to the top 10 finishers at the halfway point, and also several other ways to get bonus points. And with the playoff format and drivers maybe not running every race, or maybe missing some of the early rounds, those bonus points could be crucial into getting themselves into the playoff positions.
As you can see, the drivers on the track currently finishing up their warm-up / practice session for tonight's action. 31 drivers currently in the session, some of them having a wild time, but there's putting up some good times. Jody Banfield is on top of the board at the moment, with the only driver in the 38.3s, followed by Jared Mogart, Jose Arbos, along with Dylan Martin and Brandon Jackson inside the top 5. But one of the things when it comes to this package tonight, Chris, especially the 2019's draft package specifically, is speed and full throttle, essentially, on throttle time, to be specific. Two crucial parts with this package that come out to play at Michigan.
Yeah, having to stay in the throttle that long, it's going to be very interesting to watch how these drivers manage traffic and manage racing in a large group, because not only will the draft probably play a factor somewhat, but also you're going to have to keep that momentum up. You let off the throttle, and you're probably going to drop like a rock.
And on top of that, especially the short run scenario, essentially track position could be very key tonight, because one of the main things these drivers seen when the service went to Michigan with this package in June and August, as well as in their various different runs, is the restarts could go up to 3-4 wide for multiple laps in a row for the first 10 laps with this package.
Yeah, this track lends itself to side-by-side racing with the multiple grooves and how wide it is. And with that, I mean, you're going to have a variety of interpretations on what the quick way around this track is. And especially fresh off a restart when everybody's clumped together, it's going to make things difficult for these drivers to try to maintain.
For those just tuning in, the final moments of practice currently underway for tonight's 6th round of the season for the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series. Again, Banfield on top of the board, Jody Banfield specifically. Let's take a look at the weather, though, because that's another potential key, Chris. With this skybox tonight, clear blue skies, meaning that track temp may stay at around 106 degrees Fahrenheit throughout the evening. 75 degrees Fahrenheit is the air temp, with little winds at the moment. Humidity is high at about 66% as well.
Yeah, it's hot and it's slick when it gets hot, so that's going to make for some fun running on that track.
One thing to keep in mind as well, in-game time, local time rather, is around 4 p.m. at the moment for the drivers, so there's the chance that also goes down by the end of the race. 60 laps is the total distance for tonight's action here at Michigan, so it should be an interesting one as the drivers finish up their final moments. But this man, you see the number 40 machine, is coming off a good run at Kansas. How good of a run? 77 laps led of 126 total. That was on the way to his first race victory of 2019.
Let me also mention, for those of you that tuned into the Sim Racers for Mental Health crew last season, I gave Tyler Fody a whole bunch of crap about not having the number 40 when his last name is Fody, and he finally changed it. And I want to let you guys know that makes me very happy.
That is an interesting tidbit, I guess you can say. What's also interesting, qualifying is underway. We'll see which drivers can put up the fast times. Again, a lot of the practice times, we should note, can be factored by the draft. It can be as much as a full second gain by being in a group of cars compared to, say, running on your very own some, especially by the midpoint of a run here at Michigan. Again, we're going to find out who can get the pole today. 5 different pole sitters so far for the season out of 5 races, as well as 5 different winners as we go on with the solo qualifying session. And Chris, as we go into qualifying here and see drivers like Rachel Hunt get on the track, who do you have your eye on for Michigan this season?
Well, you got to look at the drivers that were quick in practice, and as you mentioned, it does raise a lot of question marks over who was fast because they had help and who was fast on their own. So you want to say that the guys that were the quickest in qualifying are going to be the ones to keep it, or quickest in practice, I should say, are the ones to keep an eye on. But out there by themselves, we're going to see who really has the true straight line speed.
Absolutely, drivers like Robert Dijkamper currently running around the racetrack. Some of them immediately going, some of them looking potentially at the track temp might move a touch. It did go down a degree compared to we show it before then. Again, these drivers trying to go full throttle essentially, but you have to have a good 2 laps. Because essentially, again, it takes about a lap or so to get up to full speed.
That's right. The first lap's really the one to build up the steam, and the second lap's going to be the one where you're put down your quick time. Right now, Corey Blevins top of the charts with a 39.533. That's quite a bit slower than what we saw in practice, so wondered if maybe the track's cooling off, or what we're seeing here is a couple of drivers putting in times.
Yes, indeed. Again, the track temp's up above. You can see the air and track temp have gone down a degree. As you're following along with Blevins' 24 machine. Currently, the provisional pole just got bumped by Adam Sweet in the 80 machine. But we're going to follow along with Blevins currently inside the top 5. Where is he going to fall? To second place goes Corey Blevins with a 39.1. Corey Blevins continuing to practice here, but a 10th off the provisional pole. Hunt, Erbos, and Dijkamper round out the top 5. Jordan Dotson, though, bumps them in the number 8 Clover machine.
You mentioned the draft possibly playing a role in the practice times. Adam Sweet, currently P1, he's almost a half second slower in qualifying than he was in practice, as Bill Kruzka now jumps up to P2 on the chart.
The qualifying times continuing on for just under 2 minutes here in the session. Kruzka moves up to second, just a couple 100ths off of Adam Sweet's time. Tony Edmondson also bumps his way up to 3rd, but so far, 32 drivers looking to take the grid tonight. Just 16 have put in a time so far.
Now, last season, this was a class of drivers that a lot of them did wait out till the latter moments of the qualifying allowance to put up a time. So I wonder if that trend maybe is continuing and we have some drivers that are waiting to see what everyone else does before they get out onto the track.
And one of the main things with that, though, again, is the chance that the track conditions change, especially if, say, a random cloud was to pop up. Again, though, clouds might not be the factor again with the clear blue skies. As we look now at Evan Rice, who is up to second on the board. Jalen Battle, I should say, looking to also improve some time, as well as Ty Marasco. Fastest time, though, on the board right side of your screen, it is Jeffrey McClintock. And the number 5 machine in the Toyota Camry as the only driver in the 38-second bracket to put himself up at the top of the board with 30 seconds left. Again, drivers trying to put in their final chances for times. Jared Young currently going to start 17th tonight, or this evening's action, already completed his times. But it looks like a majority of the field leaving it up to the pit draw, so to speak, for the pit selection. And where they'll start for the grid as the last of the drivers try across the stripe. Van Alstyre moves up to 3rd in the 9 seconds of the session. So he'll start inside of row 2. As that finishes up qualifying here on the Global SimRacing Channel, it's time to take a look, though, at your starting grid for the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series at Michigan. Jeffrey McClintock will be on the pole tonight, with Ty Marasco starting on the outside of row number 1. Will Van Alstyre will start in third with Jalen Battle in fourth. Evan Rice starts in fifth with Adam Sweet, who is at 1 point on the pole. Bumped down to sixth by the end of the session. William Kruzka in the 7th spot tonight with Colton Lane second the points, 8th on the grid tonight. Todd Slauson and Tony Edmondson round out the top 10, Chris.
11th on the grid is going to be the 98 of Jody Banfield, and to his outside will be Jose Arbos. Stephen O'Hare will start lucky number 13 with Corey Blevins in the 14th spot. Robert Dykemper is 15th on the grid, followed by Rachel Hunt, and Tyler Fody in car number 40 is 17th on the grid. Then we're going to see Dylan Martin in the 07 car starting 18th, followed by Jared Young, and Jordan Dodson completes your top 20.
Last driver to record a time, the only one in the 40s, was Corey Williamson. He'll start alongside Jared Mogard as the first driver arranged up towards the front. Treywick starts in 23rd with Robert F. Kenny in the 24th spot. Rob Peterson starts in 25th alongside Brandon Jackson, with Scott Ricard in the 27th spot alongside the 29 of Logan Brakey. Jack Wells will start all the way back in 29th tonight in his 06 machine, with Danny Banfield in 30th, one of the drivers towards the mid portion of the practice board. Alexander Cognac will start 31st, and rounding out the 32 driver grid in the Flat Out Racing Network machine, it is Matthew Rodriguez. That's a look at your starters tonight for the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series for Michigan as they get ready to roll off the grid. Again, track temp has actually bumped down to 102 degrees, but again, very little banking here with this racetrack, just coming off its 50th anniversary. 18-degree banking in the turns, just 12 degrees at the start and finish line, just 5 on the back straightaway. One thing to note, Adam Sweet has just been given an end of longest line penalty, so that will void what would have been a top 6 starting position this evening, along with Jared Young.
Well, those penalties going to make things interesting with a couple of the quicker drivers having to drop to the back of the field.
Indeed, here a few of our drivers going towards the back. Dykemper, Rodriguez also given end of longest line penalties before we start tonight's action. Remember, points given at the halfway point, most laps led, as well as mentioned, leading a said lap. Those could be crucial for some of these drivers as they work way down the back stretch here. What should we be watching for, I should say, Chris, as we get ready to start this race?
Well, coming down to the start, we're going to watch everybody probably fan out pretty quick, and people are going to try to make up spots from the back as quick as they can. And you also have drivers up front playing defense, so we could see the immovable force meeting the unmovable object, or whatever the saying is.
Either way, it's going to get interesting here because we're getting ready for the start of what should be a thrilling 60 laps in Michigan. Again, McClintock is in control of the field, and the Coors Light Toyota Camry green flag is out. We're racing at Michigan.
Well, a lot more tame up front than I expected. The 46 of Jalen Battle dropping down to the bottom of the track and going to pick up a spot on the opening lap.
And a clean start, but as to be expected though at the front, the driver that's the lead driver will end up potentially getting drafted by Jalen Battle getting a push from Van Elstein on the bottom side. That'll mean a new race leader heading into turn 3. However, with Michigan, with this package, that is something that could be very common in the first 10-15 laps here tonight, Chris. But Battle, regardless, gets himself the lead lap to start tonight's action.
Well, looking about the 5th spot, we have a 3-wide battle for the position. The 28 of Jose Arbos on the inside, Colton Lane in the middle, and looks like Ty Marasco in the 16 fading back, as now the 5 car of Jeffrey McClintock under assault from the 60 of Lane.
See a lot of shuffling again. You're following along with Kruzka in 9th spot now as they go near 3 wide just in front of him, a row up. Back to 2 file, however, as they continue to push on forward. Van Elstein wants to try and lead a lap up at the front. He'll get the bonus point this time by. But Kruzka continues to shuffle on now 3 wide on the outside row. He's got Arbos on the inside, as well as the nationwide machine of Evan Rice. As Rice forced to check up.
And look at Jared Mogard making a huge run as the 46 of Battle drops to the apron and is falling back very quick. Mogard makes a move once again on the 28, and they're 3 wide into turn number 3.
Still 3 wide with Mogart looking to push up. He was 12th last time by. Remember, he started 22nd tonight in the double zero machine. And trying to now draft off the pole sitter. Still side by side for the lead, but here comes the suck-up. With this package, it is hard to pull away in this early portion with the tire whip until the tire wear factors in. And you can see how much some of them are able to reel themselves in if they're in the proper line. The outside seems to be the preferred line, though, as they continue to shuffle now with Lane on the outside for second.
Colton Lane on the outside. He's moving up the track with Bill Kruska in his wake, trying to give him a push, as we have a battle for the lead right now between Van Alstyne and McClintock, and looks like Kruska may have got the wall.
And Kruska, who was in 5th last time by, actually nearly made contact, it looks like, with one of the drivers. He was 3 wide with the 20 machine and of Arbos. So had to get out of the gas to make sure he didn't tap the wall. Tyler Foti has the new fastest time in the group on the bottom side. There's still 3 wide, though, battling for 4th spot. Rice trying to make stuff work, but they continue to shuffle on. But the pole sitter looks like he's dropping back, because this has been a very wild first couple laps of this one.
That double zero car of Jared Mogard looks like to be the hard charger so far with an asterisk. He did not put up a qualifying time, started 22nd on the grid. He's now in the mix for the lead.
And Mogard, one of the better drivers on the iRacing service, one of the underrated drivers, actually, I can say, wheeling that machine on the bottom side, as he currently tries to draft off the back end of Colton Lane. Again, Van Alstyne battling on the outside, inside lane, as he tries to squeeze on the bottom side for the North Star Title Company machine. Gets a bit of the run on the bottom side, still side by side. But so far, Chris, I think we've seen in the early going, we've seen the bottom side preferred in the early going up in the corners, but the top side, especially down the backstretch, much preferred.
Yeah, definitely a lot of different interpretations on what the best way around the Michigan International Speedway is going to be. Saw some near contact towards the conclusion of the last lap between the 88 and the 94. Looks like everything's shaken out and everybody knows for where, but it is a hornet's nest up front right now, Justin.
And again, this is why I think drivers like Battle drop back, Chris, was they seen how crazy it was coming, and when it comes to Michigan, there's the chance for attrition, especially in the short run here, with how crazy it can get, and we're seeing how crazy it's gone, 2-3 wide so far, and we're not even 10 laps in.
Yeah, one thing you can take for granted is a long green flag run, where these drivers get a little more comfortable and maybe get a little more relaxed than they should be with how things are rolling on the track. And we could see some mistakes here in the not-too-distant future as these drivers get deeper into this run. And as I say that, the 88 of Evan Rice makes contact with the outside wall.
And a couple more bouncing off the walls. McClintock had some trouble that lap. Arbo's trouble behind. The Tide machine's around. Caution flag is out. Battle ducks his way to the pits. Slauson involved. Also involved is Marasco. And they're still wrecking.
Looks like the Tide machine started the spin cycle a little early.
And it looks like a few drivers are going to have a bit of damage, to say the very least. So that's going to potentially hurt some of the cars there. Again, caution flag is out for the first time on lap 9. Let's take a look at the GSRC replay to see why, and you can see a lot of it was up at the top of your screen. And Chris?
Yeah, there's drivers, as I was kind of talking about as it happened, they can get a little comfortable around each other when you don't have cautions in the early running, and people get a little familiar with each other. And unfortunately, looks like the 77 thought he was clear and was definitely not.
Yeah, and you can see, though, if we stick with this, again, the purple car is the 16, as mentioned, Marasco. He got hit by second group. Also in that was Rachel Hunt that came charging in. and they were coming at full speed. The caution was out for about 10 laps or so at that point.
Yeah, these drivers, unfortunately, kind of paying attention to their race as it's happening and not looking too far down the track. Unfortunately, a couple drivers having their day ended a little bit prematurely because of that.
And this might hurt drivers again, such as Hunt. She was 4th in the points entering tonight. The pit window again is open with drivers ducking to the lane. First driver out is Colton Lane. So you can see a lot of drivers scrambling. 4 tires and fuel. The dish of the day, again, with the fuel limit, just under 16 gallons are in the tanks of these machines.
Yeah, that 75% fuel does create some opportunity for some strategery, so to speak.
Yeah, I was going to say, with a full fuel run at Michigan with this package, it would have been about a one-stopper. I was going to ask, with that, as this race now goes towards 50 to go under the pace car this time by, what that would mean. We'll talk about that, I think, a little bit more as we try and get things back going here. But again, it's going to be 50 laps to go this time by. Should note, again, one of the drivers that had ducked down to the lane was mentioned Battle. He's going to have to go towards the back of the field after having to duck in for evasive maneuvers, while Brandon Jackson's Evo Sim Sport machine in the Ford Mustang stayed out on the track and is gambling here.
Well, I think in the early running, it's definitely not a bad time to try a move like that, see how things pan out, and plenty of time to recover from it if it doesn't quite go the way you want.
Yes, indeed. But as this race goes again under the pace car, who were you keeping an eye on here, essentially, as we now approach this 5th of the way through already in this?
We had so many comers and goers in that run. It was really interesting to kind of see everybody make their moves and fade back. I think Jared Mogard's going to be one to watch. He did not make a qualifying lap, so he went pretty deep into the field, and I think he's one that could charge back up there. And of course, the 62, William Van Alstyne, has been right in the mix the entire race. Colton Lane had a great pit stop. He's running up front, and really interested to see how Brandon Jackson hangs around up there after not taking the pit stop.
Gonna have to see if he does stay out here. Again, these drivers still have about a lap or so before they have to form back up to get back to racing here, with about 48 laps to go, give or take, when we get back to green here for the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series here at Michigan. So far, a couple different race leaders for those turning in. Van Alstyne currently amongst the leaders. Jackson has elected to come in this time instead, so he'll sacrifice the lead and go to the back of the field. With that, though, that will give Colton Lane back his lead with the 4 tires and fuel in his machine. Lights on top of the pace car go off. It'll be Lane and Van Alstyne now, who will be on the front row for this restart. Chris.
Yeah, these two drivers have been the cream of the crop so far in this event, and we'll look to keep that battle ongoing. Jeffrey McClintock back there in the 5th position, he had the pole lap and has been very quick as well, so hopefully he can get back up there in the mix. And we've had so many different drivers that have been in that battle towards the front, it's really hard to pick a favorite at this point.
And there's been a lot of drivers that have actually moved up a lot. You mentioned McClintock has actually lost a couple spots, but Blevins plus 11 so far, Peterson plus 20, Fote plus 10, plus 19 for Danny Banfield. And then you have drivers like Alexander Cognac, who have gone plus 17 on the board so far. So drivers are moving up and fairly quickly early so far. Question is, what's going to happen for the second restart of the day today at Michigan?
So that pace car with the lights off, getting ready to duck in here momentarily. This 2-mile oval makes for awfully long caution laps, Justin.
Indeed, and it can be something that gives drivers a lot to think about strategy-wise to save fuel, etc., etc. But Lane hits the loud panel, green flags out, and the outside line doesn't go. Van Alstyne having a bad start.
40 car Tyler Foti jumped out to the high side. Didn't look like he advanced his position before the line, but he definitely made a move.
And that bottled up a lot of drivers on that top line and spread some out, actually. But again, the package brings everyone back in. McClintock working with Blevins, trying to work towards the back bumper of Lane. To the inside line goes the 24 machine, trying to make the pass does in the Heartland machine.
Bill Kruska, who was involved in a little bit of an incident in that last run and dropped back quite a few spots, he's right there in the mix as well. But unfortunately, Jeffrey McClintock singing all by himself on that very outside line, and looks like it's going to cost him a couple positions.
McClintock is going to be singing the Oh No song now as he drops all the way to the back end of the group. Couple more cars say Oh No themselves. Rod Peterson drops down to the bottom side, saves it though in the backwoods machine. So his Chevrolet Camaro keeps on chugging, but the race lead is now featuring 4 cars in the pack, one of which is getting loose. Van Alstyne gets loose, saves it though as he keeps chunking along in the 62.
But Van Alstyne just giving up so many positions with that pucker moment down on the inside apron of the track. There's just loads of cars driving past him right now. That's got to be a tough thing to see at this track. He's going to need a couple laps to get the momentum built back up, but now he's made work for himself, that is for sure.
And Foti deciding he wants the lead, actually door-banged his way to side-by-side. And the Napa Ford Mustang not having friends though on the bottom side as they go side-by-side into 3. That was an interesting maneuver. Door-banged his way right next to Blevins with how strong a run he had last time. However, nobody's helping him after.
And now Colton Lane thought about making a move on Corey Blevins, but decided to think better of it. He ducks back to the inside, and once again, Jeffrey McClintock trying to make that very outside line work by himself, but without any friends. It is a tough road to hoe.
3-car group for the race lead once more as they still push forward. Blevins getting a bit of a shot. Lane pushes him forward once more, still side by side of the group. And again, this is something consistent, but look at this! Lane gets loose! Lane saves it! Lane gets run over the back end, still bobbles around! He spins around, caution is out! Kruska's involved in it, second caution of the day.
Well, we're going to pop back in and take a look at this one as it developed. That 60-car Colton Lane was right there in the mix between himself, the 40 and the 24.
And I was going to say, Chris, with this setup for Michigan, it can get loose if you don't lift the touch off the throttle.
Well, it looks like he may not have let off a touch and got touched as a result. And it's a tough break for Colton Lane, who was right up there towards the front. And now, if he's able to continue on, it probably won't be as much fun as he was having there a moment ago.
Indeed, and you're going to see this view from Kruska again. He was dropped back to about 10th position and nowhere to go, and no more front nose in turn for the 6 machine. But of course, and we were mentioning a big-time save, though, from Rob Peterson just moments before, again, in the 94 machine. He's still inside the top 5 now, though, and you can see, again, he got loose off the corner exit at 2, and this could have been disaster for him.
Yeah, not a lot of grip to be found way down on the apron like that, but it looked like he didn't really have much of a choice. I'm not sure if he wasn't aware he had a car to his outside and just panicked a little bit and jerked the wheel or what. But that 94 got out of control, and Peterson did a tremendous job keeping the wheels under it.
And you can see that eventually led to a 4-wide pass at the edge of that. But again, drivers have ducked down to the pit lane and are now back rolling. Tyler Foti, though, is in the race lead after the cycling. Corey Blevins drops to 2nd. McClintock, Sweet, and Danny Banfield now inside the top 5. So Tyler Foti, looking to try and lead them to the green flag, should note After 5 races so far this season in the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series, 5 different winners so far, Chris.
And that's been a trend in this series the last couple seasons. They have had just so many competitive races with so many different drivers popping through victory lane. So great to see it this season.
Yes, indeed. It's been an interesting season. Will we see a 6th new winner, or will we see our first repeat winner? Still 42 laps to go this time by here at Michigan. We'll be back after this. You're watching the Global SimRacing Channel for the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series. Welcome back, everyone, to Michigan International Speedway for tonight's coverage of the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series, round number 6 of the season. So far, it's been a race of comers and goers, and Tyler Fote, after a strong pit stop, a second less than Corey Blevins, he's up to the race lead and is elected to start on the outside for this restart here. First driver to do so this evening, Chris.
Well, it's definitely a change in what we've seen in the first 20 laps of this event. But with Fote starting on the outside, you got to believe he has something in store. On the last restart, we saw the outside line didn't go anywhere. But as the pace car drops to the apron, I think we're going to see how this is going to work here in just a second.
And Fote goes immediately as he can. And the green flag is out once more here at Michigan. So 40 laps to go this time by, and a huge jump for Fote.
Yeah, that is a great restart, and Fote jumps out to a huge advantage. But at a track like this where the draft plays such a crucial role, this is probably more of a negative than a positive once we get to the back straightaway.
And you see that reason for the potential negative right there. McClintock has no one to work with, but Blevins does. Adam Sweet in the 80 machine. Let's just say hello once more to Fote. And everyone's reeled back in the Ford Mustang of Fote. But the thing is, can they try and make the pass? Looks like they want to. Fote says no as he cuts off the nose of Blevins.
Yeah, that was a pretty late block by Fote. He's really lucky that
car spun to the wall. And the caution flag is out. That is Danny Banfield who got spun in turn 1 and 2 to bring out the third yellow flag of the night. Let's take a look at the GSRC replay because I think it was him and Arbos that made some contact on that corner entry. And Chris, you can just see that contact there as Arbos trying to hold the middle. Looks like the 28 machine had wanted to ride from the top to the middle, and we're going to see this on board here just from behind. Tries to play the lane.
Yeah, there was a lot of strategery going on in that last restart, and a lot of drivers were kind of shucking and jiving around the track, and unfortunately, a move there did not quite work out, and we saw some cars go around.
Again, the worst of it, though, going to Banfield's machine. The second of the Banfields, I should say. In Danny Banfield in the 21, rather, but again, brings up the caution flag with now 37 laps to go. But now that's going to get interesting here, Chris, because they just pit a couple laps ago, and this kind of opens up the potential of maybe drivers staying out. Again, with the lesser amount of fuel, it is very tight, if not very difficult, to try and make it on fuel from here.
That was going to be my next thought, Justin. We have some drivers ducking the pit lane, but with quite a few laps left, still over 30 laps, we've got to wonder who will consider staying out and who will maybe try to make a late dive to pit road to eke out as much fuel mileage as they can.
13 drivers did stay on the racetrack, should note, as you take a look at the beautiful view here in Irish Hills, rather. But right now, that means, again, 14th on back, essentially, has elected to take 4 tires and or fuel in this cycle here. None of them looks like taking different strategy calls here, but they're going to try and add that extra fuel just in case we have a long run, I think.
Yeah, the way this race is kind of panned out, I don't think it'd be out of the question to take a late pit stop, try to get as much fuel as possible for as long as you can, and maybe hang out and let the draft help you out a little bit.
And hold on a second, what is Rob Peterson doing? You can see the drivers coming out of the pit lane, but Peterson is currently going backwards and looping around on the backstretch. The 10th place car. So something went amiss for Peterson on the backstretch because he went backwards, did a donut, and then got back going. What in the world just happened?
Maybe he's trying to win this race by style points.
I'm not sure what just happened. That's a first, and that's gonna basically buzz the tires, but I don't think I've seen that one before, guys.
Yeah, I can't imagine that's great for the life of the tires like that, and looks like he actually is coming down pit road now.
I'm wondering if he thought, I'm going to pit on 2 to green anyway, and decided to do that. I've never seen that, honestly, though, in my entire time on iRacing. That kind of a interesting scenario. Either way, he joins the drivers who have ducked down into the pit lane. But again, now just 13 drivers looking to stretch it a bit on fuel here and hope this race goes green and or keep the track position.
Looks like Tyler Fode trying to go full-on Days of Thunder with the pace car.
Just having a little fun, maybe, I guess you can really say. But again, the drivers up at the front, to recap, is Fode, Blevins, McClintock, Sweet, and now Van Alstyne, with Evan Rice and Jose Arbos in 6th and 7th, Dykemper in 8th, Banfield in 9th, Stephen O'Hare, I should rather say, pardon me, inside the top 10. And a lot of those drivers we have are now either new to the top 10 or slowly been working their way up as the attrition's built up.
Yeah, this is definitely a race of opportunity for some of the drivers as these cautions rack up. We've lost a lot of top runners, so the opportunity is there for drivers to make their way up through the field.
And I'm curious to see who can cut their way through the field again. While it's only a couple lap difference on the tires overall, the thing is they're going to have a bit more fuel, and it might be a slight advantage on the short run. We're going to have to wait and see, though, as Fotia looks like he's electing to take the high side for the second straight time as we get the one-to-go signal.
Yep, and then that last agonizing pace lap as we await racing to resume. Tyler Fode electing to restart on the outside line once again. Obviously, it worked out pretty well for him last time.
Yeah, he got that gigantic run and was actually able to make some moves in the back on the front stretch. Here we cut off the front nose, though, of Corey Blevins. We'll have to see what happens this time, though. Now, what else caught your eye, essentially, so far in this race tonight?
So far, I've been amazed at how daring some of these drivers are with some of those late moves. As we saw in the last little run, Tyler Fode nearly wrecked himself trying to throw a block, and a few other drivers tried to pull similar moves, and it didn't work out. So these drivers feeling awfully brave tonight, and it's showing in the caution count.
You have to remember, though, this is a package. It's been talked about by real-world drivers, as well as drivers on the sim, either at the professional or the recreational level. It's a package that you need to be aggressive with. And Foti looks to be aggressive on the start again. Pace car is off the track, going down the pit lane. He'll hit the gas. Green flags back out. We're racing once again here in Irish Hills.
Well, not quite as explosive of a restart as last time. Fode still at probably a 4-car length advantage as they head off into turn number 1.
Blevins this time doesn't have a drafting partner to push up out of the corner exit. Last time connected up with Sweet. Sweet now trying to help out on the top side as he's able to keep the second position in the 24. But Foti looks to play the lanes. Last time out of 4, he stayed towards the bottom, then blocked the run of Blevins and checked up the top side. That did cause a little bit of damage on Foti's machine. This time, he won't be as aggressive. However, he'll still lead the lap as they're side by side for the race lead.
We're closing in on that halfway point of the event where we award points to the top 10 drivers. So possibly going to see the aggression step up now as they're looking to go 3 wide for the 3rd spot. Van Alstyne thinks better of it, and now the 5 of McClintock. Oh, caution on the speedway.
Caution is out. It's on the backstretch. And I believe Peterson might have been involved in this one too. Yes, indeed, it was the 94 Peterson who bobbled for the 2nd time out of 2 tonight. This time, though, he overcorrected and lost it.
It looks like a fair amount of damage on the back of the 94. So a tough break for that driver. Unfortunately, when you get lucky in a few of those near misses, eventually you run out of luck, and unfortunately the 94 has done that, as he looks to be looking for someone in particular.
And take a look again. This is Colton Lane's view, and you're going to see it right there. He'll add some damage to join some of it that's on the right front already from earlier. So now, Lane with significant left front fender damage. Lane is now in 16th position after the caution flag. And again, Peterson is all the way back out at the edge of the top 20, if not that, just past it rather, after that spin.
On the positive side, now he has damage to match both sides, so at least the car is symmetrical.
Again, drivers trying to catch back up here, but now I wouldn't be surprised once we get past the halfway point to see maybe some drivers come in. And as this is around the time where it might be interesting on fuel to see who takes the points here, who ducks down, and as to be expected, about 12 on back come into pit. They're led by Cognac in the 42 machine. Everyone in line for points stays out for the time being, though.
Exactly. With all those points on the line, you got to think your top 10 runners aren't even going to consider pitting until at least the next time through.
Indeed, remember, top 10 award points at the halfway point of each of the events in the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series. As you see, a lot of drivers did elect to pit. Again, this would be 30 laps to go this time by for that halfway point. For 60 laps, 120 miles total tonight. Rachel Hunt is the lucky dog. As you see, the first driver's coming out of the pit lane. It does change up a little bit, the first driver's out. It doesn't change overall. Jared Young is actually the first driver out of the lane, followed by Jalen Battle. But still up at the front, Foti looking to try and secure 10 points and help his championship pursuit.
Well, pretty much as long as he doesn't go full Mark Martin right here, he should lock up those points.
Heading into tonight, the bonus points that throughout the season gathered so far, Jared Young's actually been the season leader with 129. O'Hare, Brendan Carr, Danny Banfield, and Matt Grunberg were also amongst the drivers towards the top 5. But Foti will look to add 10 more, just 46 gathered before this point. And now he'll add said total points to his total here. At the halfway point, Tyler Foti is your race leader, adds on some more points to his season total to try and move up. He was just in 14th place in the standings entering this evening.
Now, what do you think, Justin, with all these cautions we've had, how does that change the perspective of some of the drivers running a little bit further back? You think maybe you have to make a stronger push to get up towards the front because you don't know how much time you're actually going to have under the green? Or do you let the chaos kind of play itself out?
That's a good question. I want your thoughts on this too, because in my honest opinion, I'd be still waiting for things to play out, maybe until if we get a restart, say at like 15 to go. Because once it gets past 15 laps in a run, that's where things spread out. So essentially, I'd be in wait-and-see mode because you don't want to be one of the drivers involved in an incident so far. We've seen a few drivers have critical damage so far and end up losing their chance at a victory, including some of the drivers in the lead pack. Chris, what are your thoughts on that, actually?
See, I'd like to say that I'd be the guy that would be patient and wait, kind of like you said, but I'm notoriously impatient. So I would push to try to get as many spots as I could while, make hay while the sun's up, so to speak. And try to get as close to the front as I can and just hope that if something does happen that it misses me.
That's kind of actually a good way to put it. And again, something I wouldn't be surprised some drivers are going to potentially do. But to recap, Foti Blevins, Sweet, Ben Alstein, Rice, Arbos, I should say, Jody Banfield, Dykemper, O'Hare were inside the top 10 at the halfway point, as now they get ready for the restart. Lights are now out on top of the pace car, as Tyler Foti once again bring them to the green flag, and the Napa Auto Parts machine on the outside. On the inside, Corey Blevins. He's looking to try and get back towards the point in the Heartland machine. Having a strong run tonight as well has been Adam Sweet. +2 has been towards the front, if not in the top lead group, for the past 2/3 of this race. Ben Alstein will start in 4th, with McClintock, Rice, Arbos, and Jody Banfield inside the top 8. Dykemper and O'Hare again around out the top 10. So all those drivers did stay out here. Coming to the 1 to go signal. Again, pit road was closed for anyone who stayed out at the 2 to green. So we'll see what these drivers have in store here, Chris.
That's right. You have the drivers with more fuel and better tires starting, I believe, from 11th on back. So we'll see if we can have anybody charge up and make a run at that top spot.
Again, keep an eye on some of those drivers. Battle amongst those around 15. We also have had a bit of stagger of drivers. Guys like Jackson, who have pitted now 4 times. Jordan Dodson 4 times. Martin 3 times. The question is, who's going to take the number 1 spot? The checker flag. Foti in control of the field in the number 40 machine. This time a bit more bunched up of a start of the Geico restart, so green flags back out of Michigan.
Yeah, this time only maybe a 2 or 3 car length advantage off the off the restart as the battle's on for second between Blevins and Van Alstyne.
Drivers continue to try and shape themselves out. Looks like, again, Blevins has some friends. Sweet, though, loses his friend. Blevins this time working with Van Alstyne on the high side. Gets a shove. Blevins dives his way for the race lead. Sweet follows suit. Blevins gets up to the point. Can he keep the point, though, for the lap lead, as Sweet tries to help from behind?
Once again, Jeffrey McClintock trying to go out on his own, and it still doesn't seem to be quite working the way he wants.
3 wide heading into turn 1, back to 2 file. Blevins again back to the race lead and trying to hold on to the lanes. Drivers like McClintock trying to cut on through. Eben Rice also trying to follow up as they continue to work forward into turn 3. Pushing up as Van Alstyne nearly ran over the back end of Foti.
Looks like they were thinking about going 3 wide for the second position there for a second. The 62 thinks better of it. Foti gets a run now on your leader. He's going to jump to the outside.
Side by side once again for the race lead. Coming at 25 to go this time by here at Michigan. Looks like Blevins tries to push up a touch, but Foti has the better run. Blevins got loose. Tandem drafting they go down the backstretch.
Van Alstyne with the push on Foti gives him the run. Foti now comes down in front of Blevins to establish his dominance at the top spot, and now jumps out to a few car length lead. But the 80 of Adam Sweet on Blevins' back bumper trying to make another charge at your leader.
You can see the run in the back windshield as Blevins sends it hard on the inside line. Retakes the race lead once more, but Foti looking to try and cross up. Blevins says no, boxes him in, as Van Alstyne gives the shot. A 3-car bump drop down the backstretch.
Justin, we mentioned some of the chargers from the back possibly making a run here with the fresh tires and fuel. Jared Mogard that last time around set the fastest lap of the race. He's now up into the top 10, and he could be somebody we talk about here before the end of this one.
Keep an eye on him. He is at the back end of the lead group now and trying to charge up for 8. 00 makes it 3 wide on the bottom side. Tries to send it aggressive. Forced to check up, though, as Rice tries to pinch him down on the corner exit. But yeah, Mogard is moving and moving quick. He's been consistently, not just then, but most of the race so far, been up at the top of the speed charts. Well, Foti looks to go on top of the scoring pylon to the back to the inside.
Yep, Foti to the bottom, but Jeffrey McClintock is the car that's directly behind him. McClintock has not been playing friendly with the draft, as now the 19 of Brandon Jackson, who was a late pitter that first caution flag, has now worked his way back up into the mix, and he is now 3 wide for the 4th position.
3 wide once more. Mogart moving up towards 8th in the backdrop. McClintock trying to drop back, while Van Alstyne wants the race lead. Tries to side drop, pulls away. Side by side of the corner. Blevins pushed up on the corner entry. Van Alstyne takes the point, while Foti gets loose on the bottom side. Loses track position as the leaders pull away from the 40. And Foti's got an issue on the bottom side. He's actually coming into the pits.
I gotta wonder if this is a planned stop for the 40 of Foti, who did not pit that last time around. I can't imagine it would be with the amount of cautions we've had, but we'll see what he does in the pit area and as we get back to the racing on the track.
Remember, though, he stayed out the past 2 cautions as well as the drivers inside about the top 11. So that might be something to keep an eye on now if he feels he might not be able to make it. Blevins trying to defend the bottom side, but Van Alstyne again up on that top side, but look who's charging. Jared Mogart now up into the top 5 and wanting more.
Well, Justin, looked like just a standard stop for the 40 of Foti, but he's going to go a lap down here as he gets back out onto the track.
Foti might have to hope this race stays green. It's been a pretty calm one for the past little bit. Not so calm now as Mogart has to save it. Got a touch from the back end of Jackson. But either way, Mogart on the fresher tires is up to second.
Yeah, Mogard with that late charge now in P2, trying to run down William Van Alstyne. He's going to sniff the draft as they head down the back straightaway. As Van Alstyne dove all the way to the apron. Mogard with the advantage on the outside, going to try to use the momentum. But we've got some help for Van Alstyne. Looks like the 24 of Blevins now falls in line behind the 00.
Oh, and it looks like some trouble in the backstretch. Cars are spinning. It's Jose Arbos. Jose brings out the caution flag for the 4th time tonight in the 28.
Well, you got to believe this is not what Tyler Fody wanted to see.
Maybe even Jared Mogart. Take a look at this, though. This was outside the top 10, I believe. And this was with O'Hare, actually. And I think O'Hare got the wall first, and then it looks like Arbo, it looks like the 28 just ricocheted off of him.
Yeah, it looked like wrong place, wrong time for the 28.
Take a look on the onboard. You can see O'Hare just pushing up, and then bam! Looks like both of them actually pushed up the racetrack before that contact.
I think you're right, Justin. If the other O'Hare hadn't been there, I feel like the 28 probably would have gone into the wall on his own anyway.
Or at least nearly then. I was going to say, right in the past couple laps, we were also seeing drivers push tight. The ones who stayed out specifically for about the past 2 cautions or so. But now with the fuel window safe, drivers ducking down once again. The one driver that isn't going to be not quite happy, I don't know if is the best way to put it. Tyler Fody is now in the potential lucky dog position, the first driver a lap down in the 40.
You got to believe after leading for such a strong portion of this event, though, I don't think Fody's feeling very lucky.
He is the lucky dog, but you see everyone ducking down to the pit lane here, and this could be crucial again, Chris.
Definitely. This may be the quote-unquote money stop for these teams. As we have drivers on a couple different strategies out.
And Van Alstyne, the first driver out of the pit lane. Blevins, Mogart, Jackson, Rice round out the top 5. The drivers who come out, it looks like everyone with the 4 tires and fuel around the 14.6 to 14.8 range for those said drivers. But now this is where it gets interesting. It's going to be essentially, by the time we get back in the green, about a 15-lap shootout here in Michigan.
Yeah, we are definitely in the latter stages of this event. And if it's been this intense already, can you imagine what it's going to be like in the closing stages?
And this could be potentially nerve-wracking. But one driver that lost a lot of track position again, we mentioned, was the lucky dog in Fody. Remember, he actually pit only a couple laps into that last run from the lead group. So now he'll have to go from 21st spot, make it 20th spot on this restart.
But, you know, when you see somebody that's got a fast car, that hasn't really been a problem tonight. Look at Jared Mogard, who has dropped back, started at the back, came to the front, and dropped to the back again, and is in a top 5 position as we get ready for this restart with going to be about 15 to go.
Yeah, and Mogard has been a man on the mission, as you referred to there. Fastest lap of the race overall. Even before then was up towards the top of the speed charts. And continuing to move on forward could be a potential favorite. But we've also seen Van Alstyne been looking very strong and very confident as the lead car. Corey Blevins has had some help from behind a lot of times. There's a lot of people that might be in this conversation, Chris, to say the very least.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's really hard to say who we can expect to be sitting at the top at the end. You have so many cars that have so much potential to win this race. You have drivers that have looked strong in this event, but the guy that wins this race could be somebody that we haven't even thought of yet.
And you never know what can happen, at the very least, with this package at Michigan, with some of the crazy finishes we've seen in the various different races and events. But again, we're going to be restarting with 15 to go. They're coming to the 1 to go signal this time. By should note the driver at the top of the pylon is Dylan Martin. The 07 machine does have significant damage. And this is going to be interesting. The 07 is staying out this time by, so I don't know how this is going to work out. As this machine, again, it has no front end and severe back end damage, as they have now reached the 1 to go signal.
Well, this should be fun.
To say I don't know what Martin's play is here. You have to explain this one to me, Chris, if there is a play.
Don't be silly, I'm just going to send it.
This is going to be interesting, to say the very least, because damage is a very important thing to avoid here. With the aerodynamics, that machine has no aerodynamics. Just getting a small top, about more than 10 seconds of damage with a fixed setup on iRacing with this package can cost you a couple miles an hour in speed and your ability to suck up, Chris.
Yeah, this is basically showing up at the Soapbox Derby with a brick.
Did anyone actually try that in real life with you?
I did once get kicked out for using a brick, but that was more for a competitive advantage.
Wait, why did you use a brick in a soapbox derby?
Well, if you get hit in the head with a brick, you're probably not going to keep playing.
Let's hope we don't have drivers throw bricks tonight. All I can say. 15 to go. In all seriousness, Martin's in control of the field, and this is going to be interesting. Pace car is off the track. He's onto the gas. Green flag is out. And this could get wild.
Well, I can say so far it's gone a lot better than I expected, but I do really think the drivers that were going to be starting around the 07 probably took one look at that car and decided we're going to take it easy. And Martin, playing it smart, he just went way up the track and decided to let everybody by. I wonder if this was possibly a play to get some bonus points for leading a lap.
Yeah, that might be actually the potential play for Martin, as he's dropping to the back. But the race leaders now is Van Alstyne with that draft move. Blevins on the bottom side. Corley trying to work with the back end of Rice. Mogart is also in that group. Look at Mogart as he gives a shot to the 62 machine. Van Alstyne gets the lead lap. 14 to go this time.
And now Mogard ducks down to get to the inside of the 62 as they head off into turn number 1. Mogard dives almost all the way down to the yellow line. The 24, Corey Blevins, right there, as well as new leader Jared Mogard in the 00.
Mogart.
Oh, we got some contact. The 19 and the 88 almost had an incident there.
Still going. Staying up towards the front, though. That contact was for 5th. Mogart looking to try and find his way to the point. Can he get himself to the race lead? Mogart side by side. This time doesn't get it. It would have been by about a couple 1,000ths of a second. But Mogart yet to get a lead lap so far in the 00. Looking to change that now. Van Alstyne tries to side draft to the outside line. Mogart can't clear yet though as they stay side by side 3 rows deep.
Corey Blevins right now is the best friend of Van Alstyne, giving him a push to keep him up front. The 88 of Evan Rice now trying to get to the back of Mogart.
Oh, trouble.
Cars
Big
wrecking.
one.
Oh,
And the leaders are wrecking. Van Alstyne's around. Mogart's around. Multiple others are involved. Caution flag is out. More than 15 cars potentially in this one. And this could change everything. This was a two-pronged incident. First one at the back end of the lead group, and then the leaders at the same time out of 4 lost control.
there we go. Looks like a couple drivers going for the same piece of real estate. They ricocheted off of each other. And unfortunately, they were right dead center in the track when it all started going on and everybody checking up. Drove over each other, and it just turned into one giant mess.
And that was right where we were just referring to with some of the contact, I believe, actually, with the number 98. But this is the contact I think we were looking at, again, the second part of this, Chris, with the leaders, because this was at the time of the caution flag right there where they made that tackle.
Yeah, looks like Mogard may have been going up to side draft the 62 and maybe got a little bit too close to each other. They doored each other, and the 62 and 00 go around. Also, not sure if you noticed that in the replay, but the 88 got into the left front of the 62 pretty hard.
Yeah, and that damn car has a lot of right front damage. Let's take a look from Mogard. And you can see how aggressive they were racing the past lap or so. And yeah, that's going to change everything. Either way, though, Mogard had a heck of a save to keep that car from the inside wall.
He definitely lucked out as far as that incident went. As I mentioned, the 62 of Van Alstyne took a pretty hard hit into the left front. I got to wonder if that car is probably not going to be steering straight after a hit like that.
Yeah, that could get interesting. He's towards the back end. This again changes up the complexion of the whole field. And who's up towards the front? It's Corey Blevins with McClintock now in second. Martin's still in third, by the way, in that 07. So this completely gets interesting here with 10 laps to go. But you mentioned the possibility with some of the steering. We'd have to double check again with William, but it doesn't look like there's severe steering issues. Again, we're in the midst of the corner. He had a bit of an offset, I think, towards the left beforehand.
Yeah, that was the one concern I had, is that maybe it screwed up something in the steering or the suspension on that car that would affect the steering. And it's doable, but probably not going to be as much fun if that car is not steering correctly.
Either way, you can see the position cycle. He's now actually going to cycle to 6th as more drivers duck down to the pit lane, and now we have a under 10 lap to go race situation. This could get very interesting here, Chris, to say the very least, after that one.
Yeah, I don't know if you could really even place the blame on anybody for that incident, but we sure have flipped the script. And now we kind of touched on it earlier that the driver that could win this race could be somebody that we hadn't talked about. Look at all the drivers up towards the front that are really drivers we haven't talked about too much today.
Matthew Rodriguez, I think, is one of the drivers you look at. 5th position, plus 27. Again, started dead last in the 57 machine. Brandon Jackson, P3. We've seen him up towards the front, elected a pit coming to 1 to go, and ended up topping off on fuel, now up towards the front once more in the Evo SimSport machine. Again, Rob Peterson, we've seen him have some wild moments. He's inside the top 10 on that ticker on the left side of your screen. And of course, the driver that's plus 20 in a spot, Logan Brakey. Just the second time we've even said his name, including the grid tonight in the 29.
Yeah, it's a lot of drivers that are making their appearance late, but we're getting close to the pay lap, and that's the only one that counts.
And again, we are looking at a situation entering tonight where we had 5 different winners in 5 races so far this season. The question is, will that stay the case with new winners, or will we see our first repeat winner? Again, amongst those winners so far this season, we have seen Battle, Mogart, Fogy, Stephen P. Durbin, and Matt Grunberg all find their way to victory lane. Again, of those drivers that are inside the top 10, just so happens to be just Battle and Mogart are amongst those drivers that have gotten a victory so far.
And how about Rob Peterson in 10th spot, despite the fact that he's been pretty much a one-man highlight reel with all that he's had going on in this race. He finds himself in the top 10.
Yeah, it's been an interesting one, to say the least, for the 94 machine. We've seen him spin around on the backstretch under the pace laps at some point. He's cut to the grass a couple times. He's gotten loose twice on the bottom side, once with the save, once where he did go around and bring up the caution flag. Now has a potential chance of the top 10 if he can keep the car straight towards the checkered flag. Again, wonderful signal again is on the racetrack. Outside line chosen once more, this time by Blevins in the 24 machine. He'll start alongside the pole sitter in McClintock. The question is, who will take the checker flag in Michigan? 16 miles to go in Brooklyn, Michigan, as they enter the Geico restart zone. Green flags up in the air. And a good launch by Blevins, but an even better one by the driver you see on the bottom side of the making 3 wide. That is Jalen Battle, looking to try and battle his way up to 6 already.
Was that a pun or just a lucky phrase?
Freezing, essentially, in that case. But you're taking a look at another driver that's at some rough point. Jose Arbos working his way on the high side, going to be passed now by Van Alstyne. As Van Alstyne tries to move his way back up to the point. Remember, he was involved in that last incident where he ended up spinning down to the bottom. We did hear from him that the suspension is okay. Well, it's 3 wide for the race lead. Diving to the inside, the 19. Jackson forced to check up, though, as they go back to 2 wide.
And how about that? Jeffrey McClintock started on the pole, faded for most of the race, was up in the top 5 for a good chunk of it, and now finds himself back up in the lead as we approach 5 laps to go.
6 to go this time by. 12 miles in total. Who will make it to the checker flag? Blevins with the point. Looking to block, moving to the crossover, goes McClintock. Working with the Ford Mustang of Brandon Jackson. 2 by 2, near 3 wide just behind him. Look who's coming, though. It's Rob Peterson, who's inside the top 5, entering turn 1.
These drivers are definitely not checking their blind spot before merging.
And that time, Van Alstyne actually slid up the racetrack. Was able to save it, though, as they battle still side by side. However, the more they fight like that, the more there's the chance of a side draft in the next couple laps. Once that tire wear kicks in, 5 to go this time by.
These bump drafts are getting a lot more serious. At one point on the last lap, the 24, Corey Blevins gave a shot to the 5 of McClintock and got him loose. Oh, as we mentioned him, looks like the 19 and the 24 make a little bit of contact. 24 is out of the gap.
And Battle's also trying to save it. We stay green, though, as Battle got way out of shape. Entering turn 1, had a shot, in fact, from Evan Rice. But again, we stay green. The lead group is 3 wide, battling for 4th spot. That's Jared Mogart that's looking to say hello to the lead once more.
And now Rob Peterson, who, as we mentioned, has done everything but lead this race so far, is now going for the lead of this race.
Peterson works on the back bumper, goes to the high side of McClintock. Likes to stay behind. They stay 3 wide just behind his back bumper, though. But can McClintock try and hold on? Down the backstretch, the 94 gets the corner panel underneath the pole sitter. Side by side, side drafted is Peterson as he sends it in on the inside, nearly making contact into 3. He takes the race lead as McClintock saves it.
I'm pretty sure they did make contact, but McClintock, the back end nearly went around. That's going to open the door for the 00 Jared Mogard, who just sends it up the track. He's going to now try to pull alongside the 94. Here comes Van Alstyne. Oh, and they make contact again. And Peterson goes around. Mogard collected.
Caution flag is out. And this could get interesting once more. And this could get even more so wild. Unfortunate, though, for Peterson, because Van Alstyne had gone underneath the yellow line entering turn 1 to make the pass for the lead.
Yeah, I don't think Peterson really did anything wrong there, Justin. He just kind of got tapped by the 5. Really had nothing else to do. He was a passenger at that point as he started ping-ponging off the cars around him.
You see the hard contact, Mogard involved, Jackson involved. And a couple cars end up flipping from the said contact. Mogard and Peterson did blow their engines from that mistake. Van Alstyne, though, was the driver trying to make the passes. Take a look, though, from Mogard's point of view, pardon me, Jackson's, as he was on the top side trying to make a move.
Jackson on the outside of McClintock in this view, so. And there you see McClintock make contact with the back of Peterson. Peterson then went up into the 0-0, and that sent him back down into Van Alstyne, and then it was all just chaos from there.
The thing is, though, again, you're entering turn 1. I don't think there was any... I don't think the 62 was... I don't think they were expecting Van Alstyne to make that pass right on the apron, essentially. I think that spooked a couple drivers to try and go up, and that might have led to the contact.
Yeah, sounds like the 94 Peterson not very happy about the way that incident transpired over the driver chat.
Van Alstyne is actually still the race leader and avoided significant damage, surprisingly, despite the hit, I should rather say, to the door. We are in a green-white checkered situation now here in the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series. So 2 laps are decided here. And this gets interesting. Again, I've said this probably a couple times already, but this gets more than interesting. This gets particularly curiosity moment-like, because it's now going to be a 2-lap shootout to decide it, and it's been crazy in that span every restart today.
Yeah, we've reshuffled the deck a little bit once again with a few drivers up towards the top. Do you see Colton Lane up in the top 10 again? He was one of the early leaders. He was involved in a pretty significant caution. There's a lot of damage on that car, and he's in 8th spot right now. My mind is literally blown.
Fascinating is the term I was originally looking for, I have to be honest. But again, it's fascinating how Lane's been able to take advantage of some of the mistakes up at the front. Again, has a chance for a top 10 battle. After getting loose, is still just behind him in 9th. As you take a look at the stats from Lane, started 8th, is still in 8th, despite that damage. The thing is, though, how will the short run speed be? It's going to be important with a 2-lap shootout to decide the winner here on the Global SimRacing Channel at Michigan. Again, Van Alstyne and McClintock would be on the front row for this restart. Blevins and Airbows in 3rd and 4th. Rice, Rodriguez, Breaky, Lane, Battle, and Wells round out the top 10. Once we get back to racing, still 2 to go on the pace car.
Well, Justin, I got to say, this has been a very exciting event. Just when we think we have this one figured out, everything gets changed on.
Yeah, that's the excitement of racing. We have to think about it, though, because the unexpected can happen, and we've seen that in a few different situations tonight at Michigan. The unexpected did strike, and it struck at the wrong times for some, and the best times potentially for others. So it wouldn't be racing without this kind of unpredictability.
Yeah, my fingernails aren't very happy about me chewing them down watching this race go on. But I gotta say, I'm enjoying this one quite a bit. I think our viewers are been given a treat with this one. Got a little bit dicey with some of the cautions that were pretty heavy towards the middle of the race, but even with this green-white checker finish, I think we're in store for what could be a all-time classic.
A lot can still happen. Once again, 2 laps to go when we get back underway. It'll be a green-white checkered finish for tonight's action. One of 3 attempts in the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series. And should note, there was a discussion before tonight's race that for this evening, any incidents that we've seen with under 20 laps to go result in an increased point penalty from 0.5 to 1. What I mean that is, at the start of the Auto Club race weekend, It was a situation where if you receive 1 point total in terms of incident, you're put on probation for 3 races with a 5-point penalty. 2 points suspended for the next race and 10-point penalty. 3 points you're suspended for the next 3 races on the schedule, and 20 points total. Having a clean race removes a said point. So that's something to also keep an eye on, because there's been a couple cars that have gotten at least a couple in the lead group, to say the very least, potentially, in these past few laps.
Yeah, that could make for some behavioral corrections from some of these drivers that have maybe been a little more daring than others.
One of the drivers getting waved around the pace car, you can see is Tyler Foti as they get ready for the green flag, this time by William Van Alstyne is in control of the field in the 62 machine in his Chevrolet Camaro. Again, on the inside row will be McClintock, who is the pole sitter tonight and has been in the conversation for the second half of this race. Blevins in third has also led his fair portion of laps. The next 3-4 positions on back have not even gotten to the lead yet. The question is, who will take the checker flag here in Michigan? Pace car coming off the track. Again, Van Alstyne in control of the field. Into the Geico restart zone they go. Green flags up at the stand. We're back racing for the green-white checker.
And McClintock not letting Van Alstyne get very far away. He pulls in right behind him to start the draft early on. McClintock still following right in his tracks. Now dives to the yellow line. They'll be side by side as they come off of turn 2, and McClintock with a tremendous advantage. He's going to be clear as they head down the back straightaway.
Again, it looks like William does have some door damage on the left side. We're going to have to see what happens now with his car in these next few moments. Blevins now fighting for second. McClintock looking to pull away with the lead. If they get the white flag, the race is official. They're door baiting though for second. Van Alstyne hits the wall. He keeps it straight. White flag is up on the stand. This race is going to the checker.
Well, with all that, tough break for Van Alstyne, but McClintock now with an advantage a couple car lengths deep as the 46 of Jalen Battle up in the mix, and here comes the 29 of Logan Brakey as well.
Drivers trying to fight hard. McClintock looks to block on the bottom side. Gets a shot from Battle. McClintock slides up the track. Battle makes contact. They hit hard. Battle hits the fence. Corey Blevins will win it at Michigan. Make it a perfect 6 for 6 with different race winners in 2019 so far.
And poor Jeffrey McClintock, after leading, coming off of turn 4 on the last lap, crosses the line in 12th.
Brakey in second. Jose Arbo's in third. Rice and Lane round out the top 5, but take a look at this. And this, you can see it potentially coming with the way McClintock was sliding. And Chris, your thoughts here as we take a look at the view from Blevins, who came away with the checker flag from that.
Well, my heart breaks for McClintock. He had the race wrapped up. I know there was a couple guys close, but the 46 decided to just keep his foot in it, so to speak, and unfortunately makes contact with the leader. And those two drivers were down fighting in the dirt as the race ended, or after the race ended, I should say. So some unhappy campers here at the conclusion of this event.
Again, Corey Blevins in the Heartland Chevrolet. It burns it on down here in Michigan. His first victory of the season in the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series. We'll take a quick step aside when we come back. We'll have post-race coverage and your unofficial race results and more here from beautiful Michigan International Speedway in the virtual Brooklyn, Michigan. Welcome back, everyone, to Michigan International Speedway for post-race coverage of the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series after a wild 6th race of the season. It was a race of comers and goers and attrition by the end, but after a wild exit of turn 4, Corey Blevins found his way to victory lane for the first time this season. Logan Branke finished in 2nd with Jose Arbos in the in the 3rd position. With Rice and Colton Lane inside the top 5, with Tony Edmondson in 6th position. O'Hara came away in 7th with Ricard Wells along with Cognac rounding out the top 10 finishing positions, Chris.
Matthew Rodriguez makes his way from 32nd on the grid to finish 11th, while Jeffrey McClintock was leading off of turn 4 on the final lap and finds himself settling for 12th. Lucky number 13 on the finishing order is going to be Jordan Dodson, followed by Adam Sweet in the 80 coming home 14th. 15th is Rachel Hunt over the 07 of Dylan Martin. In 16th with Brandon Jackson, Jody Banfield, and William Van Alstine, as well as Jalen Battle, completing your top 20 and your lead lap finishers.
Everyone else under a lap down or more. Amongst them, Treywick in 21st, then Mogard, who was a contender in the lane going after starting 22nd, finished where he started after an incident that involved multiple cars. Rob Peterson was also an incident 7 laps down. Robert F. Kenny came away in 24th. First Robert double laps down was Robert Dykamper, with Jared Young, Tyler Fody, Danny Banfield, William Kruska, and Ty Moresco rounding out the top 30. Rest of the drivers did not finish as well, and Corey Williamson and Todd Slauson. Of course, Slauson involved in the first yellow flag of the night today. That's a look at your unofficial race results once again for round number 6 of season 2 of the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series. But it was a crazy one, again, to say the least. The man who came away in 2nd started in 28th. And we're going to be talking to him now. Logan Branke came away in 2nd after starting near the back of the field. Logan, it was a quiet race, but a strong finish, to say the very least. Your thoughts?
Yeah, hi. Absolutely. The game plan going into this week was, just kind of stay out of trouble. Track felt extremely loose in practice, so that definitely affected my mindset. Actually, going into the race, I was planning on being as aggressive as I could all race long, and then felt how loose that car was during practice, and that totally changed up my mindset. And glad we were able to steal a 2nd place finish out of that. Just super hyped.
What was going through your head as you were seeing that last lap unfold, especially some of the craziness coming out of turn 4?
Get through them. I mean, it was. I saw the 62, I believe it was, got loose coming off of 4, and I knew I didn't have anybody directly behind me, so I kind of backed out of the throttle there in anticipation of something happening. And sure enough, he came down, got into the 24 there, and they both went up the track and just stuck it to the apron, and then coming around there to the white. The high line was where I was most comfortable, so I was just running up there to finish the race there. I saw the leaders get into each other off of 4, and I just kept my foot in it, stayed on the outside, and was able to sneak my way up to 2nd there.
As you mentioned, your strategy was essentially to stay towards the back today. How difficult was it, in your opinion, if there was a difficulty, I should rather say, to try and balance that need to be patient and that instinct to chase after the carrot, so to speak, to try and catch that carrot, pass said carrot, and move up positions?
Yeah, I mean, I was experimenting early on too, especially in that first green flag run. What exactly the car was doing. I'd get behind the draft of whoever it would be in front of me, and it was pulling really well. And like I said, that outside line was where I was most comfortable. I think, along with majority of the field, that's where everybody seemed to want to get to on the restarts, and kind of just ran up there, and I was able to slowly close the gap. Took it easy at first, but then got a little more confident as the race went on, and I kind of knew when I wanted to stop being so conservative and start, sticking my nose into smaller gaps and start moving my way to the front. So thankfully it paid off.
Of course, now that helps a good strong points finish as well, but still only a couple more races to go in the regular season, and it's going to be an interesting stretch of the season, I should rather say, where you're going to Kentucky, I should rather say, on September the 11th, 126 laps. Last time at a mile and a half, it was Fodi who broke through with the victory. Your thoughts heading into Kentucky now with just 4 races left before the playoff cutoff?
Yeah, Kentucky's always been a pretty decent track for me, so I'm looking forward to it. I seem to run pretty well there. But again, it's probably going to just be the same mindset. I haven't had the greatest few first races here. Obviously, didn't finish anywhere where we wanted to at Kansas, and had an okay finish at Bristol. So kind of just that conservative mindset again. Just bide my time early on, and then after that halfway mark, slowly start thinking about working my way to the front, and hopefully we find a way to get ourselves another awesome finish like today.
Is there anyone you want to thank for being a part of your second place finish tonight?
As ignorant as it sounds, I guess everybody for taking each other out on that last lap. That was the reason I was able to get up to second. I was content where I was running. Was super happy to just even be running in the top 10 because I knew it would be a good points day, and just stoked to be bringing home second place.
Congratulations to the top 5. That came after a 15th at Bristol and a 30th place at Kansas. Congratulations on the second place.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Logan Brinke coming away with the second place finish tonight. And obviously very happy this is first top 5 of the season. But standing by with the race winner is Chris Phoebe. Corey Blevins took the checker flag. Chris, you're standing by with him.
Well, Corey, first off, congratulations on your win. When you were coming out of turn 4 and not in the lead, what did you think was going to happen there at the end?
I really didn't know what was going to happen, to be honest. I've actually won a couple other league races. I actually wasn't in the lead, and they just wrecked. So I think it's just about having the luck. I mean, it's kind of similar to, when you go to Talladega or Daytona, you might not always be in the lead because it's, you're running in a pack there. So sometimes just get lucky and, you get the check flag.
Now, this has been a relatively solid race for you, being up front for a majority of the event. Looked like you were having a lot of fun out there. How was the car handling?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Inside was kind of tricky. You had to pedal it through there sometimes, depending on if it could get loose. Especially in practice, I knew that I ran about a 10-lap run in practice, and it started getting loose, but that was on my own. So I realized I needed to back off a little bit, especially when it came to the race.
Now, some of those guys were making some pretty aggressive moves out there pretty early on into the event, and you've kept your nose clean for pretty much the entirety of the event. What do you kind of owe that to? Just luck, or was it intentional putting your car in the right place at the right time?
I say it's a little bit of both, honestly. A lot of luck involved. I missed a couple of big crashes there towards the later stage of the race that really helped my chances of winning the race. I knew I had a pretty good car though and could keep it up there up front. So it was just about luck, and I had stayed out there towards the end, and I was just hoping, maybe staying out would, get me the track position to stay up there.
Very cool. Now, I know we still have a pretty long season left to go. Any particular races you're looking forward to coming up?
I know Indy's coming up. I like Indy pretty good. And Kentucky I'm pretty good at, and that's next week. So looking forward to it.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Corey. Once again, your race winner, Corey Blevins, picking up the win here today. And I believe Justin has caught up with Jose Arbos.
So again, congratulations to the race winner in Blevins. And we are now standing by, and we'll see if we can speak with the man who came away in third. Once again, Jose Arbos. Apologies if the last name is pronounced wrong there. But Jose, crazy race for you as well. A couple different times you actually spun around, but you came away with the top 3 tonight. How are you feeling?
Hello, thank you. Just I want to say first I apologize for all rigs. I do 2 rigs with another 2 drivers, so was apologize for that. I try to do my best and don't do that anymore on the next races. But I'm really happy, proud of that 3rd position because I have had lots and lots of lucky, but was nice. So good.
You're one of the drivers that were actually making some decent passes at times as well when you were having the good luck go your way. Your thoughts on the passing and the difficulty with it tonight we've seen here in Michigan?
Yeah, I think tonight was strange, weird race, no, because a lot of rigs. I save in a lot of wrecks, so I start 2 times on the back after this 2 accidents I have had. So was nice, and I tried to do my best. I want to learn a lot of that of a lot of those drivers we have here because the level is so a lot. It's amazing the level here in Spain. It's not like that. It's really different. It's just being here to try to learn a lot of that. So I'm happy with this tonight.
Now, you mentioned it was a good finish, and of course, the level, of course, tonight was looking through some of the statistics coming into tonight. This is now your first top 5 of the season. Of course, just a few races left in the regular season before the postseason cutoff after race number 10. Your thoughts on trying to keep that trying to build some momentum and consistency heading towards the home stretch?
Say again, sorry.
How difficult will it be, in your opinion, to try and build off the momentum of this finish, to keep on having strong finishes?
For me, very, very hard. I lose top speed with that rigs, so was really hard. I just trying to be behind of all the other cars and get all that speed and just be wherever I was, just 5 or 2nd or 3rd or 10th, whatever. I just want to finish because I know on the last laps we're gonna do more. We're gonna be more aggressive. So just trying to save all the wrecks, all the problems, be around all around the cars and just saving myself. And was a nice finish.
It was a nice finish indeed, but the next race, again, is at Kentucky. Your thoughts on going there?
Kentucky. Well, Kentucky gonna be something similar, I think. Bit we lose all. I think we're gonna lose the back, so that's gonna be a nice for me because I'm better with I don't know the word in English when you lose your back, your rear wheels. So that's better for me than lose the front on the corners. I think I will be nice there. But if I finish 10, 15 like every time before, I'm happy with that always. So that's nice.
Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go here tonight?
Sorry?
Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
No, I just say thank you to my team. Say thank you to you to do the streaming here, and I want to see it before I go to sleep. And say thank you to sponsors. Say thanks to the follows and the viewers on Twitch, and nothing else. Just thank you to William as well to make that championship is amazing the work he's doing. And thank you very much to you for this interview. And I hope to see you again here and a few more races.
We'll have to wait and see. Congratulations on the top 5 and the 3rd place finish this evening.
Thank you very much.
That was Jose Arbos coming away with the top 3 tonight. Again, his first top 5 of 2019/Season 2 for the Cup Series. But before we say goodbye, Chris, your final thoughts before we go to a track that's going to be pretty interesting. Kentucky Speedway, one where it feels more like last year's package because of the tire fall off.
Well, I think we saw a great event today. I think Kentucky will obviously throw a few more wrenches into the playoff positions as these drivers march towards the end of the season. And I think we have a lot of great racing left to catch this season.
Absolutely. Race number 7 coming up in a few weeks. We would like to thank William Kruska and the Sim Racers for Mental Health for organizing what has been an interesting season so far, and what was an eventful race tonight here at Michigan International Speedway. We'd also like to say thanks to the companies that provide our software and hardware for our broadcast is listed now up on your screen. With additional thanks to Jude Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today once again, Chris and Joe. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including the upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Ram. Don't forget to head over to our YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button, as well as the notification bell, so you don't miss a moment here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. As mentioned, the next race is at Kentucky on September the 11th. Coverage starts here on the Global Sim Racing Channel at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 Pacific. We hope to see you then. We also hope to see you for the upcoming races for the Elder Series listed up on your screen. Check those out and mark them down on your calendar, because there's a lot of entertaining races coming up on the channel. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.